Hello everyone, Tyson here from the Life of Phys. Before we get into today's conversation, I want to take a moment to share something that means a lot to me. The Phys Project is a portrait and documentary project focused on turning the lens back onto the creators who spend their lives capturing everyone else. If you believe in the power of photography, storytelling, and community, you can support the project and help bring the book and documentary to life at the link in the show notes below. On this episode, I sit down with Ben Horton, a National Geographic Explorer, photographer, and director whose career has taken him to some of the most remote and demanding environments on Earth, all built on one core belief: a photograph can change things. Ben is not just a photographer, he is a storyteller operating at the intersection of adventure, conservation, and high-level commercial work. Over a 16-year relationship with National Geographic, he has documented stories across Mongolia, Nepal, Thailand, China, Canadian Arctic, Haiti, and coastlines throughout the Pacific and Central America, becoming one of their top-selling photographers 3 years in a row. But what makes Ben's work stand apart is impact. Early in his career, Ben led a photojournalism investigation on Cocos Island, documenting illegal shark poaching operations and tracing the trade across international borders. That work was presented directly to the president of Costa Rica and played a role in expanding 2 national parks and helping establish one of the largest marine protected areas in the world. That same pursuit of meaningful storytelling has taken him even further, including a 60-day dogsled expedition across Ellesmere Island with polar explorer Will Stager, documenting the climate change in one of the harshest environments on the planet. Ben's work exists across extremes, from photographing the search for Genghis Khan's tomb in Mongolia, to hosting National Geographic's Extreme China, to producing large-scale commercial campaigns, including the 2025 Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue featuring Olympic and professional athletes. Ben's ability to move between worlds is unmatched. At the same time, he has built a deep connection to Baja California, where his fine art work and book Baja Bound captures the raw beauty, light, and spirit of the peninsula. His latest exhibition, The Art of the Unseen, continues that exploration, showcasing work that invites viewers to look deeper beyond the surface. In this conversation, we talk about what it means to pursue photography at the highest level, how storytelling can drive real-world change, the realities of working in extreme environments, and why stepping fully into the moment is where the most powerful images are made. Ben Horton is a photographer who does not just capture the world, he immerses himself in it. This is a conversation about adventure, purpose, and the responsibility that comes with holding a camera in places that matter. This is the Photography Heals Your Soul podcast. Now let's get to the show.
Hi, I'm Ben Horton. I was told to say where I'm from. I don't know where I'm from. Currently, my dog has a house in Utah. I live part-time in Cabo, down in Baja. And at the moment, I'm in a house in Ojai. So,
A man of the world.
yeah, I've tried to settle down, and every time I have, it's been a career ender. So I just got to keep moving.
Keep it fresh, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, Ben, appreciate you coming on today. I mean, I've followed your work for a while. I mean, I'm a huge National Geographic fan. So it took a while to reach out to you. I wanted to make sure like I had established something here before I just was like, hey, come on my show. Nobody knows what this is. So,
The funny thing about that is like, that's perspective, right? Because like you could have called me years ago, and I don't see myself as anything special. So
it was just my perspective. I get it. Why don't you break into a little bit of your backstory? Let us know how you found photography and how you knew it was something you wanted to do for your career.
Sorry, hold on. Timing. Somebody just knocked on the door.
No worries.
Silence the dog. We can start over if you. All right, we're all good. Dog's gonna be quiet now. So cool. A friend of mine showed up an hour early. So how I got my start? Well, so I was born in Bermuda. My parents were missionaries, and my mom was interested in photography. She had a film cam. I mean, this was in the 80s. So yeah, all cameras were film cameras. And every time that thing came out of the bag, I was obsessed with it. So I really think that that's my start, is being told that I wasn't allowed to use it. She'd let me shoot one frame, and that would be the thing that like I had no patience. She'd say, okay, really think about what picture you want to take. I'd stand where I was, turn around, look for something, take a picture of it. So Eventually, once I got a little bit older, she gave me a hand-me-down camera, and I started doing some classes through homeschooling, actually. And from a very young age, when people asked me what I wanted to be, I'd say either a writer or a photographer. And so there was this combination of the two that I was kind of aiming at. Um, but my first, do you want to call it a career? I don't know, was professional snowboarding and whitewater kayaking.
Okay.
And more often than not, I was also the guy taking the pictures. And then I'd set everything up, I'd hand it to somebody else, I'd tell them how I wanted it framed, and then I'd go do my run. Um, and that's kind of what led to me starting to get stuff published. Um, it's a really complicated story if we really go into all the details, but around 18, I moved to New Zealand. I started kayaking out there. I shot a whole bunch of stuff, from helicopter access kayaking. I met a girl who was a model. I started shooting her portfolio. And then I met a couple of guys from National Geographic that kind of took me under their wing on a photo shoot. I got hired as a second photographer in the Grand Canyon, and I started shooting commercial. Um, One of those guys, Wade Davis, became a mentor to me and introduced me around National Geographic. And around that same time, I'd been going out to Cocos Island. I had this great story about shark poaching I've been wanting to cover. And from there, it just kind of swept me up. Nat Geo was looking for somebody young to try out their Young Explorer program with. So at the time, I was the youngest person ever to get a grant from National Geographic.
How cool is that?
And then after that, it gets even more complicated. So, I mean, nobody has a straight line into it, I don't think. Actually, I did
100%.
know one guy that started photography as a business plan. Didn't
Really?
even have to shoot, but just like, oh, I know how I can make this work. And he was very successful. Yeah.
Wow. Mine
Yeah.
mine bounces all over the place. It looks like a graphic EQ.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You're like,
You know
this is
the
gonna work.
the old DVD bouncing logo screensaver?
Yeah. So your first project with them was the shark poachers.
Yeah, the shark poachers on Cocos Island. And
Wow.
I had to volunteer as just a little, I don't know what you would call me, just a volunteer. The Rangers had us cleaning out the grease trap, and then washing their clothes, doing the dishes, and then okay, you guys have a day. And I'd swim out and I'd photograph the schooling hammerheads, and I'd swim out to places that were, sometimes a mile offshore just to photograph these sharks. And that ended up putting me on the Coast Guard boat. And then I got the other side of the story. So it was very much a just put your time in. Nat Geo gave me something like 4 grand to do that story. Like, and I worked on it for 3 years.
That was a good investment on their part.
Yeah. Yeah. It eventually paid off for me, but not very quickly. Yeah.
What was that like swimming with the schooling hammerheads?
I mean, my first experience with a hammerhead is still one of the top experiences of my life. I was out on this place. It's called Roca Piedra, which translates to rock. And it's a seamount that comes up about a mile offshore, 2 miles offshore, Cocos Island. And it's known for the hammerheads coming around, schooling around it, and the cleaner fish come out, eat the parasites off them. Well, we'd gone out there and there were no hammerheads to be seen. And I was free diving down. I think I probably was down maybe 60 feet, no camera at this time. And one single hammerhead comes around the corner. And it's literally like just circling around me. And I stop and I'm watching this thing. And it's the coolest experience of my life having I don't know, 12-foot sharks just circling me. And you could tell it wasn't aggressive. So I'm down there way longer than I should have been. I'm starting to run out of air. Like, oh, I need to go up. So right around then, the shark leaves and I start swimming back up towards the surface. And I'm about halfway back up, and a couple hundred more start coming around the corner. And next thing you know, it's just I'm running my hands down the sides of these sharks as they're just swimming by me. And it feels like the school's just never going to end. And eventually it's like, oh wait, I got to breathe again. So I had to leave them and go up. But it was a defining moment for me because I'd read about this. There's a book called The Secret Life of Sharks by Peter Klimley, and he's talking about being the first person to get in the water with schooling hammerheads, and how like you're expecting this aggression. They're sharks, but they're just so docile in that moment, and it's like you're not even there. It's so cool.
Yeah, it must have been just amazing to be
Yeah.
such a small thing in this
Mhm.
massive, massive school of sharks. I love
Yeah.
sharks. They fascinate me. I grew up on the Oregon coast, and so during certain parts of the year when you were up on the cliffs and the seals were plentiful, you could see not only
Hmm.
the killer whales, but you could see the great whites.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like, I remember there's this one place, I want to say it was called Moe's, and their patio went out over a trench in the ocean. And we were eating, I'm assuming it was probably clam chowder, because I think that's why we went there for. And
Yeah.
I like was little, and I remember looking over and then going, Dad, what is that? And the shark is just under the
Yeah.
water, right? And I've been hooked, terrified of them, but I've been hooked on them ever
I'm
since.
still scared of them, right? Like, I think that the influencer type people that are like, sharks are harmless and we can, they're idiots. I'm sorry. Right?
Yeah, I see them
Um,
online, and I'm like, yeah, you got lucky.
people tell me, so I don't know if I wouldn't say they got lucky. I will say that saying that they're harmless is really harmful.
Yeah,
Um, People ask me, like, how do you trust sharks? It's like, oh, I trust sharks to be sharks. If you know their body language, if you know that species and how it's going to react and what it tends to do, then you can get in the water. You can have an experience with that animal and keep yourself safe. And I put safe in quotation marks because I have friends that have swam with sharks for 30, 40 years and then got attacked last year, right? So I liken it to a dog. If you're walking down the road and a dog comes out of an alleyway, within seconds, you know what that dog's intentions are, right? You can do the exact same thing with sharks if you understand their body language. Um, I have had my foot in a shark's mouth.
good times.
Right? Like I wouldn't say the shark attacked me because it didn't know I was me. I was with a school of like 300 white tip reef sharks, and they're hunting rays. And my foot with a fin on it descended into the school of sharks while I was checking my camera. And one of them thought, hey, this ray just swam right into the school. Let's take a bite, you know? So like I don't blame that shark at all.
Yeah,
Um, so I will be the first one off the boat into the water to swim with them, but I'm not going to be the guy that's like, oh, they're harmless.
yeah, no, that's good advice. I mean, I don't spend a lot of time in the ocean. I'm not. I guess I'm not far. Being on the west coast of Canada, I'm pretty close to open ocean. We don't get a lot of uh, the great whites or anything. Occasionally, they'll come up here. Which, as the water's getting warmer, I keep saying, because we're on a harbor. We have a harbor that separates Vancouver from North Vancouver. And we get
Yeah.
killer whales and grays and everything in there. And I'm like, soon enough, everybody's out there thinking they're safe. This big fin's going to come up one day when the water's just the right temperature, and it's going to
Yeah.
change everybody's perspective of the harbor of Vancouver.
I'm still scared when I can't see them.
Yeah.
The moment I can make eye contact, I'm good. But my big obsession right now is actually paragliding, and that's what I'm here doing right now. And there's a spot here in Santa Barbara. I'm not going to name the beach because it'll terrify people who listen, right? But like after I've flown 10, 12 miles cross country, I usually fly out to this beach that has a little taco shop and I land on the beach. But that gives me the opportunity to fly at 1,000 feet over the ocean. And I have looked down and seen hundreds of people in the water and counted eight great whites 50 feet offshore, swimming right through all the people.
And
Right?
none the wiser.
They are none the wiser, and nobody's getting attacked,
Yeah.
right? Those sharks are not there hunting. So, on one hand, that might make some people scared. Like, oh my goodness, there were eight great whites swimming through all the people. I'm like, yeah, every day, and nobody's getting attacked.
Yeah.
So, what does that mean?
What's that like to paraglide?
It is the ultimate in flow.
Yeah.
So, everybody talks about flow sports or being in flow, whether you're playing basketball or football or snowboarding or rock climbing.
I remember that feeling of saying that
Yeah.
in skateboarding.
Yeah.
That was my life for 35 years.
In
Was
paragliding, it is the hardest line between you're either terrified or you're going with the flow. We're going to a spot today where a couple of years ago I flew into 12 meter a second lift. Strong is like 5 meters a second. And I got ripped up to 15,500 feet.
wow.
And, if I had said I don't want to go up, I would have been in full terror. But
Yeah.
it's like, okay, we're going up. Oh, it let me out at the top. Okay, I'm going to fly to Santa Barbara and then back to Ventura. It's like, okay, the wind's blowing this way. Let's go this way. So learning to like tap into that flow is really cool. Like it's a forced meditation. You can't be thinking about anything else.
Yeah. What's the furthest you've ever flown?
I actually haven't flown that far considering my skill set. Maybe 60 miles, I think is my furthest.
That's still pretty darn
You know,
far.
it's pretty darn far, but I have friends that have flown hundreds.
Really? In like
Yeah,
one go.
in
Just
one go. I have friends that are, like at the time they were less than half as experienced as me and they'd already had a 100-mile flight.
oh
So
wow.
I'm still waiting for the opportunity. I've probably passed up the opportunity a few times.
Yeah. Oh,
Really
I
easy to
just
talk yourself out of it.
I can see that. I can see that. So in all the things you've done, I mean, you've worked with a ton of amazing brands. You've done a lot of things. Do you have one that just stands out? One that's just like something that is so important?
Yeah, Nat Geo was really critical for my resume, for my career, and I had some amazing, amazing experiences while working with them. Um, I speak as if it's past tense because I feel like the brand has just changed so much. But then, I got a phone call the other day from them, so I don't know if it's over, right? And you never really do. And then last year I got to shoot Sports Illustrated Swim, which was kind of another lifetime career goal. I've kind of I've kind of been on either side of this weird line because the Nat Geo people hate that kind of, swimwear photography.
Yeah.
That's not, you know. And then the swimwear people love the fact that I've shot Nat Geo. But it's the personal projects for me. I think when you look at all the top photographers, all your favorite photographers throughout history, and you're thinking about the work that you're impressed by that inspired you, the majority of the time that was their personal work,
Oh,
right?
100%. Yeah.
So you're not thinking about the ad campaign that Helmut Newton shot, maybe. You're thinking about one of his shots that he had the model, they went to the studio, he wanted to create something cool, so they did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, that was my book, Baja Bound. It was a big transition in life, and I kind of documented that through photography and writing, and it was really the first time that I had done a project that was just for me. And it changed the trajectory of my life and career. So,
Yeah. No, I've added your book to my list of must-haves. I had to I had to slow down on
yeah,
photo book purchases because my room off to the left here is I still have them in boxes from how they got
yeah,
shipped because I want to I'm not one of those guys who just wants to have them on the shelf. I like
yeah,
I like open them and I look and being on the show I'm very fortunate a lot of the guests will end up sending me a copy and I'll be like I have my like
yeah,
pile of them. Like I'm a huge hip hop 80s skateboard fan, and I had T. Eric Monroe on, who I remember from back in the 80s and 90s with shots of Tupac Shakur and Biggie and all these guys. And he sent me a book, and I opened the first page, and he said, "Hey Tyson, keep doing what you're doing. You're changing lives, T. Eric." And I was like inspired, So like I suffer from anxiety and depression. Still trying to cope with childhood traumas, even at 50 years old. Kind of the reason FICE came about was because it's an acronym for Photography Heals Your Soul.
mm,
And when I found the camera, I found clarity. I found that
mhm.
feeling of rolling on a skateboard down the sidewalk again. That
That
just,
flow.
yeah, pure bliss. It's something that I tell people who've never been on a skateboard, like if you've never felt the exhilaration of just going down the sidewalk on a skateboard. I cannot explain it to you. You have to experience it.
Yeah.
Right. So I look at it and I like these books help me remember when I'm going through it or when I'm in a dark spot. Like I look at them and I read the notes from people and I'm like, okay, cool. I'm doing it. And it's such a reminder that even at 50, you can jump back in at something and redo your whole life.
So, I mean, this is basically the theme of my book.
That's awesome.
Because like I suffer with those same things, right?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of artists do.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that getting it down in writing, the process is what helped get me through it and out of it. Um, not saying it's gone, but like in the time period. And a lot of people who actually read the book, I get a lot of really nice notes from them just telling me about how it helped them kind of clarify their path. And that book for me was really about refinding myself, my passions, and reformatting my life to fit who I really am.
Thank you.
Right?
You just nailed exactly what I've been going through. At 48, I found my birth parents.
Wow.
But I suffered crazy traumas thanks to my adoptive father growing up. But now that I understand, he was a 2-tour veteran of Vietnam. We understand PTSD. We understand it didn't give him the right to do what he did, but it also allows me to be, as a father, I can step back and be like, okay, I kind of get it. And it took me until, man, I've had a therapist now for 2 years. It took me about 3 months ago. I finally said, you know what? I forgive him. Yeah. I won't forget, but I forgive. And that's where this journey started. This conversations here, the authenticness of what we do and what we're talking about is strictly me trying to be the person I wanted to be growing up, but couldn't be because the 80s and 90s, men couldn't show emotion.
Right.
So that's where, helping people, talking to groups of kids about wanting to be artists over influencers, talking to people like yourself on the show where we share these moments, man. Like everybody has issues and we're willing to let you know, like, hey, it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to take that stuff that we were taught growing up and just throw it in the garbage. And it's okay to show those emotions. And that helped me see this path. And every day I wake up and I'm like, all right, how do I make the person that I can talk about myself being online? And that's the true me. How do I put that into my day-to-day life while I'm fighting to get rid of all these things I feel? So when you just said that, it hit me deep, man. Like I'm looking forward to reading your book because
I'm going to send you a copy, of course.
I appreciate that. But
one really wild thing that has come out of it is me being comfortable talking about what I was going through at the time and being comfortable talking about it now. 2 years ago, I lived a life where I thought, I had done everything pretty much right and well, and not a lot of people around me were dealing with hardships or emotional issues. And then I started to go through it and I decided to talk about it openly. And
thank you.
It's amazing how many people that helped them talk about it openly.
Yep.
It helped us help each other, started groups where we could converse about these things. And I realized
sign me up, brother. Like I will get in a group and I'll be open and willing to talk and listen and share. I just do the emails I receive from people talking about like I'm going through exactly what you just talked about. And I went through a health scare last year, pretty much a year ago. A year ago today, I was still in the hospital. I was in the hospital for 4 weeks from a staph infection, from a 2.5 millimeter cut on my leg. Almost died the first night in the hospital. Yeah. And while I was in there, I was on no contact order. I was in a room by myself. My wife could come once in a while. My boys would show up. I had a lot of time to think. And I heard this quote from Marlon Wayans, the comedian and actor. He said, I don't have time for your shit. I have more days behind me than I have left ahead of me. Yeah. And then I took that and I added to it. And I said, the only thing I can do is try to be the best version of myself for everybody in my life. And it's hard because I'm in this massive change pattern I want my health back. I haven't been able to ride my bicycle for a year now. And it's like, that was like my getaway since injuries and skateboarding, so there's all this stuff I've been dealing with. I just got cleared 2 months ago to be active again. So you put on weight, you get lazy,
Yeah.
you're starting to do all these things.
Mhm.
But now I'm like, okay, I'm 50, I'm 51 in 3 weeks. It's time to,
Starting is hard.
yep. It's trying to
One-
find that foot, and then you talk about this book and what it meant to you. And like, dude, it hit deep. I'm excited. I'm excited because I know I'm not alone now. And that took me a year of this show to understand, like, whoa, there's a lot of people out there that have gone through stuff like me. Maybe not as crazy, but they still went through stuff and they're willing to talk about it.
Mhm.
We're making a change is what we're doing.
Yeah. And I hate the word authentic because of how
Me too.
marketing has adopted it, but like now more than ever, that's what we need
Yep.
is reality. Let's call it reality, right? In a world where you're not sure if what you're looking at is real or not,
Hmm.
and whether or not it's a marketing spin by politics or, we want the truth. We want to experience something real.
Yep.
And we said we weren't going to talk much about career, but that's what I'm trying to do right now is change, like as everybody's going towards utilizing AI more, I'm trying to go more into what's real. And, maybe that's going to become a minority and a niche. I don't know. Maybe it's going to be the end of this career. But for me, like my soul cannot go into the AI side of it.
Yep. And I mean, this AI is you see AI images just getting all of this attention on social media. And I understand people using Chat GPT to help them structure a sentence.
I think of it like a calculator.
Yeah.
Like the idea comes from me, but it's the thing that processes, right?
Right.
Like, and
But when,
not that kind of came out wrong because, like, I don't want to say the idea of a photograph came from me and it processed it, but like the way I use it like help me research, and then I formulate what I've learned from that research myself,
yeah.
right? Like, give me links, not
100%,
write this
man.
for me, tell me what to do.
Yeah. Yeah. So you just did the Sports Illustrated 2025. Like,
Yeah.
what was it like getting that call?
Oh man, it it kind of came out of the blue. So maybe 4 years ago or so, a friend of mine, I hired her as a model on a photo shoot that I did in the Amazon, and she works with Sports Illustrated. She's a writer for them. Her name's Mara. And so there had been this kind of long tail of like, oh, you should meet this person, like you should come to this event. So like I call it creating your own luck. Like I was lucky to get that call, but the luck came from Mara starting this little journey for me and me just kind of following it along. And when I got the call, I hadn't heard from anybody there in over a year. And by the end of the call, they asked me to be the photographer for the next shoot. So, I mean, it took me totally by surprise. And I was super stoked, of course. And I remember after a couple days of doing the shoot, I looked at my friend Caitlin, who's my like producer, confidant, best friend. She's amazing. And I said, if I hadn't done this shoot, I wouldn't have known how hard it is to do. And if I knew how hard it was to do, I might not have done it. Right? But
Yeah.
now I know I have this and I can do it. Yeah.
And it's so important for people to understand, like, look at connections in every facet of anything you're working at.
Mhm.
Like I've made connections through my show now with people like yourself or the brands that support the show. But those brands and people have turned into other connections and, they grow and you get
Yeah.
those opportunities because you have people going, what do you need? Oh, cool. I know just the person. And
Well,
they can put you in a position where you may not have ever found.
yeah. I've had work come from, oh, Ben was 18 and he was like second photographer on this shoot, just like shooting the details and the background shots. And the girl that was bringing coffee or the guy that was just like carrying a clipboard around 5 years later is part of a big agency and he's running shoots. He's the director or something, right? Or she's now the creative producer. And I get a phone call. It's like, hey, you were like the only person that was fun in my career. Like everybody else has all these huge egos and they're always yelling at us, like, come do the shoot. And a very substantial amount of the work that I've gotten has all been word of mouth. It's that long chain of the front desk person from LA Models remembered me and like got me a job somewhere else when she was working at an agency. Like that's how it goes. Cold calls count for probably 5% of the work I've ever gotten. So
So what was it like going from like National Geographic to doing commercial work for brands like Land Rover and other things?
the commercial work actually started just before.
Okay.
And like I would even say the snowboard stuff that I was shooting, the kayak stuff that I was shooting kind of fell into that commercial realm because I was never the guy that was like, I need a photo of a guy 100 feet in the air, upside down, right? I understood from the start that the story is, the guy hiking up the trail, the guy in the car putting his boots on. That's where the story is. So from early on, I was getting those lifestyle images, even if I didn't think of them as lifestyle at the time,
Before the title was there.
or the title was there. Yeah. And that's what brands were picking up. They weren't buying my photos of the guy going off the waterfall, right? So, um, and again, at the same time, I was dating somebody. I was living in Denver, and I was dating somebody who was a model. And the I go into the agency, and we have this whole conversation, and they say, "Yeah, we'd love to work with you. Like, put together a comp card." So I'm like, I thought that was something models did. So I went out and I shot a bunch of people. I put it all into a comp card and I paid $500 or whatever it was to have a bunch of them made and deliver it to the guy. He goes, this is not what I was talking about. I meant like if you wanted to be a model, put together a comp card, we'd see. And he says, but this work is really good. So like, let's send you some models to start shooting. So I always had this other side career of shooting fashion. And now, later in my career, I could not care less about fashion. Like, I've shot for a lot of the big brands, I've shot a lot of big ads. I hate it. I don't hate it. It's just like, I don't care about the texture of your garment,
Yeah.
right? I want to photograph a person and what's special about them and an experience that they're having. Like, if you want to throw this jacket on them for that experience, great. I can do that. I can do it really well. Um, but to me, it's photographing the people, the soul, the story,
Yes.
right? And the product should always be second to that. I work with a lot of brands and they want me to start shooting stuff and they want it for their Instagram and they want me to just take their product with me on one of my adventures. I get that a lot. It's like, well, like nobody really wants to see your bag. Nobody just wants to see a picture of your bag.
Mhm.
Like the truth is your bag doesn't need to be in the photo at all to convey what you're trying to convey. When I went to the Amazon on that shoot I was talking about earlier, like a picture of a girl standing there with binoculars checking out a Jaguar Undie or something is way more intriguing than a picture of your bag sitting in a hotel room.
Yeah.
And very few of them get that.
I can imagine because they're also focused on the product they're trying to sell. That, well, what do you mean? Like the product not in the image? How do people know what you're talking about?
And that's I guess what I was trying to get to in my wandering around ADHD way of telling this story is like my history with National Geographic makes me comfortable in the Amazon. My history with shooting fashion means I know how to pose somebody. But like the story is the convergence of those two things in an amazing place. And it has nothing to do with either fashion or that like National Geographic hyper raw vibe.
Yeah.
They can combine.
Yeah. So you utilize what you've learned in all the facets you've worked to
Yeah.
create a intriguing image that shows what you're trying to sell
I think of
without
it
showing it.
like a bike wheel,
Yep.
right? You have all of the spokes, and the spokes are all the different skills that you have. writing, communication, photography, posing. But the hub is actually where your career lies, which is a combination of all those things. And it might not be one or the other on any given day. It could be something totally different. I write, I've had a TV show. Like, I don't know how to, when there was a time period when people asked me what I didn't know how to answer exactly.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Ben just dropped wisdom, everyone. So listen to that analogy about the spoke and the hubs, or the spokes and the hub. That describes everything. So
Find your hub.
Yeah, so watered down and easy that you can understand. Like, you have to take all of these different skills to create that solid foundation.
And that's what makes you unique.
Yep.
Makes you special.
Man, it's so good, Ben. Thank you. Honestly, man, I feel like I connect with people like pretty easily, but like there's certain people where they start talking and you're like, okay, we're on the same wavelength and just different avenues of what we're doing. And it's neat to see, like, I look at your work, and again, I'm a fan. I'm a fan first of anyone who's on the show. I'm a fan of. I don't have anybody telling me who I need to talk to and who I need to bring on. It's me from my home by myself going, reading up on people, looking at their work and being like, dang, I like this. I want to hear their story. And that's how it starts. And then it creates things like this. Like, I was literally, like I was saying, I was in the hospital, pretty darn lonely after being in there for 4 weeks and not being able to leave a room. But to have people that I've only connected with on a show take the time to reach out to make sure I'm okay. Like, that's,
well, it's coming from you being real on the show, right?
Yeah.
Like, coming from both of us being willing to be real. Like I said, we're craving that right now. And like, I really think that there's this, I hate the word revolution as well, but like, people are starting to accept that and not be as ashamed of it as our parents' generation was.
yeah.
And it's created much better friendships for me over the last few years.
Yep.
And trust, being willing to be open like that. So hope it's a start for something for us too.
Heck yeah, man. I look forward to keeping in contact, and I'm sure I have lots of questions going forward on things. For anybody listening who's just, they want to they know your work, they know what you've done. That's kind of the path they see that they want to go down. Do you have any advice or wisdom to maybe some pitfalls that it might help them just jump a little bit further past the start?
I think, I have my, what I would call standard advice that has been distilled over a 20-something year career that, I've told people and whittled it down to the basics. It might sound a little bit like that DVD screensaver bouncing around. Like, hey, that contradicts that. But the number one thing for me is, if you shoot what you know and you are passionate about, you're going to be able to see it and understand it on a deeper level, right? And by doing that, you are showing people a perspective that they've never had before. Unique perspectives are what makes photography interesting, right? I want to see the world how you see the world, because that's something I've never seen before. Dogs taking over here. If you can show somebody that unique perspective, your photography is going to be interesting to them. On the flip side of that is imitate. Like, if you find somebody's work who you like, imitate it. You're not going to recreate it. You're not going to copy it. You're going to learn, and you're going to develop your own style through that imitation. And, I recently posted a picture that there was probably like a mood board somewhere, and I saw a picture in the mood board. I was like, oh yeah, we can do that. And I did that, and I posted it, and the photographer of the original photo came down on me so hard. Like, you're just a mimic, you're a copy, your work's terrible, you have no creativity. I said, okay, sorry. Like, no, I don't know what to do about that. I'm sorry. Um, but he kept coming down on me. So I was like, all right, well, your opinion no longer matters to me because it seems to me like you have more issues than just this. Um, I see people imitate my work, like people I know are following me come out with a picture that's almost identical to mine. And my instinct isn't like I'm still human. I'm like, ah, shoot, I guess that one's out now. Like I got to find something new. And that's what keeps driving me forward. I can't just repeat my same work. So I think that if you imitate people while finding your own voice, shooting stuff that you're passionate about, your work's going to stand out. And if you stand out, you're going to get hired to do that. The one big pitfall that I see people fall into a lot is, hey, I want to shoot for National Geographic. Cool. What do you want to shoot? I've always wanted to go shoot orcas. I'm like, cool. Show me your orca portfolio. Oh, I don't have one. I need the job to go do it. No, that's not how that works. So instead of going to school and spending $100,000 learning photography, put $100,000 into going to shoot what you really want to shoot. And then people are going to hire you to do that for them.
Yeah, because your passion will show through the work that you're putting out.
Yeah, and you'll have the portfolio that says, I can do this.
Yeah. That's great advice. I mean, I've always had that. I look at certain people, like I shoot a lot of urban street type stuff, and I'm very inspired by Fred Herzog, who lived in Vancouver, right? So I know a lot of the areas he shot. I've shot a lot of the areas, and I want to take my digital file and make it look like that Kodachrome because I'm inspired by the colors and what he captured. Yeah. And then you see stuff from other people, then you're like, oh, you get this imposter syndrome, like, oh, I can't do that. Like it looks just like theirs. I'm not doing it. But I like the way you worded it, put it into perspective. Like, hey, we're going to keep copying and try to make our images look like who inspire us. But no matter what we do, there could be 8 of us shooting the same photo, and all 8 of us are going to get a different image.
Yeah.
Because our body.
The best part is, when this guy came down on me, I took that photo and I put it into Google and did an image search on his, and I researched him, and I found his mentors and the people he was copying. And I found that photo from somebody before him. So there's not very many original ideas out there.
Yeah.
But there's original takes. There's special ways. I'm fine with it. Like, copy me as much as you want.
Yeah.
That'll push me to learn something new too.
And that's what it's mainly about, is always pushing our own limits and our own boundaries. And I love to learn. I love learning now more than I did back in school. Yeah. Right? Like, I look at something somebody did and I'm like, I'm going to figure out how they did that. Mm-hmm. You start looking deeper into it.
I have what I call art nights, where maybe it's me and my girlfriend or me and a friend, we'll just get together and like, okay, I have these ideas. There's a good chance none of these photos are going to ever see the light of day, but let's try to figure this out. And that's where I figured out using fiber optics and, different kinds of light to contrast each other with. And 90% of the time, those photos go nowhere, but I learn really cool things about the camera.
Yeah.
And when it does work, it's mind blowing.
I actually, it's funny. I credit COVID with giving me the time to learn my camera inside and out. Yeah. I was off work for 3 months. And every day I live on a floodplain. So I have a river that's right behind my house. Mm-hmm. And, it's surrounded by trees and trails. So when you have nothing to do, you get up in the morning at sunrise and you go walk through this park for 6 to 7 hours a day for 3 months straight. And the first month you just focus on mastering how to adjust your camera with your hands. Yeah. And then, the next month you start working on composition. It may not be, the images may, actually haven't looked at even a fraction of them. They're on a hard drive, but they may not be good, but you're starting to understand height, level, composition, right? And then the last month, that's when you just start finding that little thing that you found in the forest that interests you, and you start capturing it from different angles, and you really start looking at it deeply, right? Yeah. And that's
One trick that I really like with that you can do with a zoom lens is easiest, but like start wide and just go in 10 millimeters at a time until you're really focused in on one little thing, the one thing that mattered from that whole scene.
That's
And
a
just
cool idea.
sometimes I go out and I shoot and then I just format the card because I know I didn't get anything I'm ever going to use.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like just practicing. And for me, actually, I had two shoulder surgeries 6 weeks apart and I couldn't use my arms for 6 months. And that's when I dove into how does a camera sensor work? How does a lens work? I started reading all the books on composition. I started doing all the work that maybe you might do in a school scenario. Um, and that taught me kind of the limits of what the camera can do. So utilize that downtime.
Yep. And don't stop learning.
Yeah.
So, man,
There's tons of YouTubes out there and things like that people talk about all those details. And I think it's important, but I think that people get stuck there, right? Like, and it doesn't really matter. 90% of the time when I see these YouTube videos where guys are just diving into every little pixel I'm like, none of that matters. Like, what was your subject? Like, if your subject's cool, you can shoot it with a Holga, a $30 camera. That's probably $80 now. I don't know. But like, um, it makes me actually want to do a YouTube video where it's just like, this lens is really great. I use it a lot. Buy it. Don't buy this one. Not that great.
yeah. Yesterday I was talking with Jen Zolik. He's a photographer out of California. He lives in Carlsbad from Germany. And he does a lot of vintage vehicles in Palm Springs with that architecture in the desert and everything. And his work's amazing. And then he's talking about how the fact he's got, 100 megapixel medium format camera body, and he shoots it through a $30 Super Tacumar lens because he loves the flare.
Yeah.
And I'm just that's me in a nutshell. I have a collection of old lenses that, they've got dust in them, but I love what it brings out.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I love hearing people get inspired by these little changes that most people wouldn't expect. Like the people who say you can't shoot zoom lenses, you always have to shoot a prime because it's sharper. Who cares?
Who cares? Yeah. Yeah. And you look at Paolo Reversi's work and he's shooting into a mirror so that it's not sharp.
Yep.
Yeah. Like,
and some of the greats, some of the people, the Robert Franks, like people that you're looking up to, if you look through their work, a lot of their most well-known images are not tack sharp.
yeah.
They have motion blur. They're out of focus. And that's what makes the image. So this idea that our cameras have to deliver crisp, perfect images all the time is something I feel like this newer generation has got way too focused on.
And we need to like reintroduce motion blurs and like I love when I'm doing maybe it's like a art shoot of some kind. It's like, well, let's slow the shutter speed down and see how this looks in motion.
Yeah.
Let's get some blur, see what happens. And again, like 99% of those pictures don't work, but then when you get the one that does, it's amazing.
It's worth every frame that didn't come out. That one is all you need.
Yeah.
And one thing I've learned I started shooting seriously 2019 is 2019, I'd go out for a couple hours. I'd come home with 400 photos.
Mm-hmm.
Now I go out, if I come home with more than 30, I stress out that it's going to take me 3 weeks to edit them. Because I'm just...
On the flip side, though, I spent 4 months in New Zealand and I shot 16 rolls of slide film.
Yeah.
And I was stressed about how many photos I'd shot. Thought I'd shot too many. And at Sports Illustrated, they were having me shoot an absurd number of photos. I think I shot something like 100,000 photos on that shoot.
Wow.
6 a.m. to 6 p.m. every day, shooting nonstop.
Adjusting for the light and trying to make everything work.
And the best part is they're like, oh, you shoot so much less than other people. Are you kidding me? Like,
oh man.
changing suits every 10 seconds and It just, yeah, it adds up.
Such an incredible experience, though. It's something that you'll keep with you forever.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I remember Sports Illustrated swimsuit issues when I was younger, and you'd be like, "Mom around? Grandpa buy it for you."
Yeah, which it's funny because like I definitely wish that I'd had the opportunity to shoot in 1980s Sports Illustrated, but also the reason I got hired is because I love showing women as powerful.
Yep.
I incorporate it into nature and into the scene. And I've really tried to angle my work so that it's um, showing women through the eyes of respect and admiration
100%.
rather than what I call the photographer's dream photo shoot, which
Yeah.
is like, I want you in this pose looking at me. Right?
Yeah.
So,
This year on the show, I'm making a huge push for female creatives in general to hear their side of the story. Especially, I've had a lot of women that are in the surf field, mountain bike.
you talked to
Krista Funk. Yeah.
Yeah. My brother lives on the North Shore of Oahu, so I work out at their house.
Oh, nice. She was amazing. She had been up all day editing a photo shoot, and I'd been doing, I worked and then came home and did a podcast. And then I got on, I think it was 10 or 11 o'clock at night with her. And like, we were both just done for the day, but it was just a ton of laughs. And just like this, man, it's instant friendship. Like, hey, when you come to Hawaii, you're staying here. Like, it's so cool. Like, it's just neat to be around like-minded people and build a community of like-minded people.
Yeah.
So like
for me, it's admiring people for what they are and not feeling that envy and jealousy that I see so many photographers have. It's like, oh, you're successful. Well, that means that you're taking success from me. Like, you're admired. That's taking admiration from me. Like, I'm an all boats rise kind of person. Like, hey, let's put each other up. Let's make it cool to be really good at what we do.
I've always talked about that. So I was lucky enough to speak with the fine arts school here for some grade 9, 10 photo majors. Mm-hmm. And one of my first questions always is, do you want to be an artist or an influencer? Mm-hmm. You can be either. It's great, but there's a different path.
Yeah.
An influencer wants that quick success. An artist is willing to wait for it. Mm-hmm. And one of the things I talk about is
does it for themselves. And an influencer does it for everybody else.
Exactly. And I say, if you see somebody that you admire and they're doing what you want to do, I don't take that as competition. I take that as there is a ladder and a stepping stone and a pathway for me to follow, and I can do exactly what they did because I'm just as talented. And as long as I stay humble and I make those right moves, I will be there as well.
Yeah.
And that's when I started using the good old the hashtag community over competition, because I'd rather build a community of people just doing what they love than watching people fight over the stupidest stuff.
Yeah.
I
got to go in a couple minutes, but there's one quick story I want to tell about that, which is
do the story and then just let people know where they can find you. And then we'll get going here.
So, back when Nat Geo used to have the photographers meeting and the photo events, all the photographers would come out and we'd have keynote speakers. And this year, the keynote speaker was David LaChapelle. And I'm in the back talking to the other photographers. I'm like, I don't know. Like, he doesn't even shoot his own work. Like, if he comes out and he starts telling us about what kind of photographer he is, like, I'm not going to be too interested in hearing about it. Like, but if he comes out and he's like, I'm more of a director, producer, like I make the idea, then it's a team, like, then yeah, I'll get behind his work, but he has to be honest. So David LaChapelle comes out and he gets on stage and he goes, I just want to start by saying, like, I'm more of a director, producer, like I put the shoot together. Sometimes I don't even take the picture. I was like, oh, but here's my personal work. And he starts going through his personal work. I'm like, oh, it's better than anybody's here. Like, he's amazing. So I love him now, But the funny part of the story is he looks out and he goes, it's just amazing seeing all you photographers here, and you obviously love each other and you're not competitive with each other. You're supportive. And the whole audience just snickers. Like, it's the most cutthroat group of photographers in the world.
Yeah.
There's some amazing people there that are not competitive, but there's a lot of them that just will cut throat to get to their position, So I learned a lot from that. First, I learned not to judge people by the cover, by my perspective of what they do. And then, so. So my name is Ben Horton. You can find me. My main Instagram is Ben Horton Photo. You can kind of go everywhere from there. My website, benhorton.biz. That's the other spot. I love when people reach out to me. I try to answer as much as I can. All boats rise. Let's make this a great community and see where we can take it.
Awesome, man. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, dude. I love when I can connect with someone in the first few minutes, and it just is a conversation of truths. And all right, brother. Thank you so much. Let's stay in touch. I look forward to catching up.
Yeah. Talk to you soon.
All right, dude. Bye-bye.
Thank you for tuning in to the Life of Phys Podcast. I hope today's conversation brought you insight, inspiration, or just a fresh perspective on the creative journey. If you enjoyed the episode, be sure to follow, rate, and leave a review wherever you listen to podcasts. It really helps us grow and reach more listeners like you. For updates, behind-the-scene content, and more, please follow us on all social medias at LIFE_OF_PHYS. And don't forget to check out the show notes for links and resources from today's episode. Until next time, stay curious, stay creative, and keep living the life of creativity.